All right, is everybody seeing that?
Yes.
Yep.
Excellent.
Thanks, Ryan.
You bet, of course. Good morning, or good afternoon, actually, everybody. My name's Ryan Bradt. I'm the Assistant Training Director at the Puget Sound Electrical JATC. JATC, as you'll begin to learn as you look at all of our apprenticeship programs that are out there, whether it be a plumber, a tin knocker, or the laborers as well. Many of us have that acronym. It's Joint Apprenticeship Training Committee. You'll see that through a lot of my material as I move through this presentation. Today I'm going to talk to you about becoming an electrician. I imagine most of you have a pretty good idea of what we do. A lot of us, a lot of jokes about us getting shocked or sometimes worse, of course, but kind of give you an idea of what we do and how you can get into this exciting career. As far as the school goes, the PSE JATC, it is jointly sponsored, and that's how you're going to find most apprenticeships as well. They're going to have a contractor association typically connected to them, and then a union. Sometimes we just think of apprenticeships as the union side, but they also oftentimes have another party at the table who's a contractor association of some type. For us, on the contractor side is a group called NECA. And on the labor side, or on the union side, as you're probably familiar, is what's called the IBEW. That's the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. IBEW Local 46 is right here in Kent. I'm actually in Renton, but down the road in Kent from me. But we cover a large area, and that's something also I want to explain to you a little bit of today about construction, electricians, and apprenticeship. We have large jurisdiction. We cover all of King County, Kitsap County, Jefferson County, and Clallam. And so I want to kind of give you a heads up, put in the back of your head that there may be some traveling involved. I drive to my work every day from Everett to Renton, and that's a pretty normal commute for an electrician these days, unfortunately. So something to keep in the back of your mind. You might be doing some miles. We also start very early. You always keep that in mind as well. Our apprenticeship program, we actually have 3 separate apprenticeships, and I'll dig in a little bit deeper into each one of these in my next couple of slides. But we have what's called an inside wireman apprenticeship. That's a 5-year apprenticeship program. We have a limited energy apprenticeship program. That's a 3-year program. And then residential electrician apprenticeship program. That's a 2-year program. Next couple of slides, like I said, I'll dig in a little deeper on each one of those. The Inside Wire apprenticeship program, as you can see from the slide, again, is 5 years, but it has a couple of components to it. The first is how much on-the-job training you're going to do. Now you'll begin to see these acronyms OJT, or on-the-job training. That's the number of hours that you're going to work as an apprentice until you can complete our program. For the Inside Wire program, it's 8,000 hours on the job, so that's where that 5 years comes from. We also have a school component, a training center here in Renton, and that school component is about 1,000 hours of what's referred to as related supplemental instruction. Really boring terms, basically it just means 1,000 hours of school for you to complete this program. It's broken up over the 5 years. In that case, right, you're going to do about 200 hours per year of schooling in that program. Inside wireman is sort of an older term. You're probably not familiar with that, but what it means is that you do commercial and industrial type of work. You'd be working on schools and Starbucks, industrial facilities. You could find yourself down at the port working on light rail, anything like that that tends to be sort of heavier in construction. And there's a lot of good opportunity there here in the Pacific Northwest. The journey level wage currently for that is $58.78 an hour. So that's going to be your wage coming home with you in your pocket. On top of that, you're going to get a really great retirement, let me tell you. And then health and welfare, of course, will be included in that as an entire package. I believe that entire package is closing in on about $90 an hour. So it's quite an opportunity. The starting wage for the inside wireman right now is $24.96 an hour. So as the labor presenter before me kind of mentioned, right, you're going to get progressions as you move through our apprenticeship program. So you're going to start off at $24.96, and then just as the laborers, similar laborers, every 6 months you're going to get a raise. There's 6 progressions along the way, and so it's kind of a we like to say it's you earn as you learn, sort of a method. And so as you gain more experience, you're going to get paid more as you move through the program. The next program I'd like to take a look at is our limited energy technician apprenticeship. This is sort of our up and coming apprenticeship here. It's where we're seeing a lot of growth, particularly in the Northwest in the high tech sector. Think of Amazon, you think of Microsoft, Google, Facebook, all of them are here, and they all have a lot of requirements for communication systems, so data cabling, if you will. It's a 3-year program. Currently, it's about 4,800 hours of on-the-job training to complete that program. 600 hours of classroom, or about 200 hours per year, again, just like you saw with the other program. This one's really focused on communication systems, alarms systems, building controls, entertainment and education. You'll see a lot of that. And they tend to work on lower voltage circuits, and it's a little bit lighter type of work. There's a lot of growth and interest in this area. This program, I think, started maybe just over 10 years ago, and has really grown a lot for us over those years. Currently, journey level hourly wage is $36.28, and the starting pay for that one, let me look at it here, is $21.77. So you'll start off at $21.77, and same thing, about every 6 months, you'll get those raises as you move through. So that's our second program. Our third program is residential, and this might be kind of what most of you are familiar with when you think about an electrician, somebody who's working in a house. They're working on the cabling inside of a house, installing receptacles and lights. The residential program is 2 years long. It's 4,000 hours in the field, 400 hours of related supplemental instruction. And that's really going to be focused on single, multifamily dwellings, so apartment buildings, hotels, that type of thing is where you see a lot of this going on. This type of work, excuse me. Journey level hourly wage is currently $28.50 for a residential electrician. The starting pay is $17.10, and same thing as before. You're going to get those wage progressions as you move along. So those are our 3 programs I wanted to share with you. Now, how are you going to get in, right? That's the next question. How do I get into this apprenticeship? I'm interested in becoming an electrician, right? I want to learn about what are the steps and the procedures. There's quite a bit to be done here, and so I'll go through it kind of slowly with you and lay it all out for you. The good news is everything I'm showing you right now is available at our website. I'll give that to you at the end of this presentation. I literally pulled almost everything in this presentation right off our website, and you can do your entire application on the website right after this Zoom meeting today if you're interested. First off, applying starts with an application online. There is a $75 application fee for that. I will get to the specific requirements here in the next slide. Before you apply, you want to make sure you meet the basic requirements. I will get to that very soon. After you apply to our apprenticeship, the next step is going to be testing. We have what's called an aptitude test, and this is sometimes I refer to or think about it as sort of like the SAT that you might take in college or preparing for college, but it's nowhere near that difficulty level. We're looking for basic math skills, basic communication skills, vocabulary skills, as you would imagine. So we go, the next step after the application, you can go ahead and take what's called the aptitude test. That's developed at our national program, as you can see from the slide there. Once you get through the application, you complete the test and you get a passing score on the test. The next step is what's going to be called an interview step. And those are actually going on today here in our building. And we're interviewing about 10 or 15 minutes each applicant who made it through the process that far. Once you get through all of those steps, apply, get all your paperwork, show all your requirements, go through the testing, get the score, go through the interview. They're going to take your scores from each one of those steps and create what's called a ranking, a ranked list. So you're basically scored against everybody else who's interested in this program. And this is an important point to be made about our apprenticeship. It is very competitive. A lot of apprenticeships are. Just because you applied does not mean that you're going to get in. It's a competitive process. And so that's an important thing to understand. Different apprenticeships are set up differently, but that is something to be aware of in our program. We have way more applicants than we do people coming to our program each year. So once you get on the ranked list, essentially what happens at that point is as jobs become available, we'll take a certain number of people off of that ranked list and put them into what's called a boot camp. That boot camp gives you some basic safety skills, prepares you to go out to the job site, and then we'll send you out to the job site from there. So that's kind of in a quick nutshell, the process. And there's a lot to it there. Apply online, testing, interview, ranking, and then get you out to the job. Next slide, minimum qualifications. Now that I'm seeing this is a little out of order, I probably should have started with this. Our minimum qualifications for the program must be 18 years of age, must be a high school graduate or have a GED, or in lieu of a high school diploma, have a 2-year associate's degree or higher associate's degree from a college. There is a little asterisk here I should mention with the Inside Wire program. If you're interested in that, oops, sorry, jumped ahead there. If you're interested in the Inside Wire program, let me see if I can get my pen to work here. There we go. If you're interested in the Inside Wire program, you do need a C or better in high school algebra or one post high school algebra course in order to get into that program. The other two, that is not a requirement, but that is a special requirement of our Inside Wire program if you're applying to that. Some other requirements, you must possess and maintain a Washington State valid driver's license. As I mentioned, we've got a big jurisdiction. You're going to be doing a lot of driving. You got to have that driver's license to apply to our program. Prior to registration, we'll also need to have a laptop computer. Currently supported versions of Windows operating systems to bring to class. That's really important because a lot of our learning is online as well. You also need to possess basic computer skills and must be able to access the internet while away from the JATC training center. Again, quite a big portion of our material has moved online, not just because of the COVID situation, but we've also done that before this all started for us. Costs. All right, so what does it cost once you get into the program? A couple things you're going to want to look at here. First off is tuition. So each year of the program, there's going to be a tuition that's going to cover the entire year. You actually go to school 2 quarters a year. This tuition covers both of those quarters. So mattering what program you're in, if you'd be looking at this for 5 years or 3 years or 2 years. For that tuition as you move through the program. For the Inside Wire program, you can also, with addition of a few classes at South Seattle Community College, you can get your associate's degree once you complete our program. Connected with a few more classes there, you can actually come out of it with becoming a journeyman electrician, journey worker electrician, and have associate's degree in college as well. Textbooks, just to kind of give you an idea, online learning fees, somewhere between $250 to $750 a year. I realize that's a pretty broad range, but certain classes have a lot more books and a lot more online fees. So somewhere in that neighborhood, $250 to $750 a year. Plan on that for your textbooks. Again, mentioned already, you're going to need a Windows-based laptop. One positive is we do provide the tools. So we'll give you a whole set of tools. Once you complete the boot camp, we'll send you out there with a brand new set of tools. You'll be all ready. And just one thing, small one here to mention is union membership fee. It's a one-time fee, is $100. So just kind of give you all the small costs that are going to be associated with that. Employment. So apprenticeship is sort of 2 pieces, and I think you've already probably got a good idea of that. It's employment. It's us. We actually send you out to the contractor, and I'll speak to that here in a second. And then there's the schooling piece. You know, we kind of do both, where if you go to college, you just get the school side, you go find a job after college. We take care of both. It's kind of like school and work combined, if you think about it that way. For the school, as far as employment goes, we'll send you out, or dispatch. That's a term you're going to be hearing a lot of. Actually, we send you out to our contractors. We have over 100 contractors that we work with. We've got currently nearly 1,400 apprentices working in our jurisdiction for those nearly 100 contractors that we've got. So we send you out to the job. If the job ends and you get laid off, you'll come back to the school. We'll send you out to another job. So we take care of all of that while you're in the apprenticeship. Once you complete the apprenticeship, you get to the journey level, then you'll go to the union hall, and the same thing happens at the union hall. They'll send you out to the job sites. Let's see. Oh, when would you go to work? We're a little bit different. Some apprenticeships will send you right out to work. For us, it takes about 2 weeks of boot camp. You need to complete about 2 weeks of boot camp before we'll send you out to one of our contractors. That happens at night. You can keep your day job, continue to work during the day, go to boot camp at night, and then we'll send you out to one of our contractors once you get through our basic safety training. And that's pretty much it. Quick little presentation there. Definitely can answer some questions and go through that. But to apply, you want to go to psejtc.org. Everything you need, you'll find on our website. You can apply online. Everything can be done and mailed in. All of your transcripts from high school, copies of your driver's license, all those different things can be sent in to us. Our offices are actually closed here, but we do, like I said, over 500 applications here in the last 6 weeks, I think, and all of those have been done remotely, so it's pretty easy. You can always drop stuff off here as well. If you do have any questions, our website has just about everything that you'd ever need on it once you get in there, but feel free to send me an email for sure and get my contact there. And my office phone number is also on the website if you need that. One other thing I didn't mention, I don't think in this presentation yet, was that the drug testing, we do have that as well. That is oftentimes a big hoop that people have to jump through, I understand, particularly with marijuana being legalized. It's been a bigger issue for us here recently as well. So just be aware, plan to not partake in that activity anymore. Probably the best way to describe it. Better safe than sorry, right? We've had, unfortunately, people who've made it all the way through the application process, get into just about ready to start the apprenticeship, and we send them out for a drug test and party's over. So I hate to see somebody go through all those steps and not be successful. So that's it in a nutshell. Quick overview of our apprenticeship program.
Thank you so much. We do have some questions that have been written in. First one, Ryan, how many years does it take for a typical person to complete the training and become a journey worker?
Great question. It kind of depends on what sector of the industry you want to go into. And so let me back up that presentation. I know I went through this kind of fast. Probably had too many cups of coffee this afternoon. So we have actually kind of three different programs. And so the answer to that is it unfortunately, it depends. Mm-hmm. The first one is Inside Wire, and that's commercial, probably our most popular program. The majority of our apprentices are in that program. It's a 5-year program. And so it will take just about 5 years. Some get through a little bit quicker, some take a little bit longer. And it's based upon those requirements for on-the-job training. So if you get a whole bunch of overtime and you get to go through school a little bit quicker, you can maybe get through in a little less than 5 years, but typically it's right around that 5-year mark. For the limited energy program that we've got, oops, sorry, back up there. The limited energy program we've got, that's a 3 years, takes about 3 years to get to the journey level. And for residential, it's a 2-year program. Keep in mind at the end of all of these, and I didn't mention this earlier, you will also get your license, electrical license or electrical certificate. Journey level certificate is what's called here in the state of Washington. So you'll complete that and get that. And with that, you can work anywhere you'd like in the state. And also in other states too, we've got reciprocity with Oregon and some other states around the country. With that being said, once you get these basic skills, you can go anywhere you want. My grandfather was an electrician. He traveled all over the country and was able to work in some pretty exciting places. So lots of opportunity.
Thank you. For the amazing person that asked that question, can you please let us know if that answered it when you asked about how many different programs they have? Because Ryan just went through the different programs again. And if you had a different question about programs, please let us know. Okay. Is there any support to help with the tuition at South Seattle? Are there any resources to help with that tuition?
There
You
are.
said 750, right?
Yeah, let me get those costs. There are, not specifically through us, not through this program, but outside entities that support us, King County, state of Washington, lots of nonprofit programs. I know ANEW has some support there on the line here today. So there's a lot of opportunities out there to help with those costs. Particularly, and I understand it, the first years is difficult. Oh, I should mention, we cover your book costs the first year. So we'll pick up your book costs the first year to help out, because I do know that that's a big upfront cost. The other thing that to keep in mind is with a lot of apprenticeships, you'll actually get to work for 3 to 6 months before you even have to come up with that tuition money. So there is some time to earn some dollars before you have to pay a bunch out.
Okay, so the people going through the apprenticeship process do need to pay that $750, but there are those resources that you just talked about to potentially help. Okay.
Yeah, and I should mention too, South Seattle has payment plans that can, if you need to stretch that out. So.
Now, the necessary laptop is something new that we've heard, or that I've heard. Is there any resources to help with the laptop?
I think I'd point to back at ANEW and some of the other nonprofits that I know are out there. You know, we have internally had conversations for years about trying to figure out how to supply those laptops to everybody, and we just haven't got there so far. But yeah, at this time, you'll definitely need to supply that. Can't take these classes on your phone. It's too much.
Okay. So there are potentially some resources, like we'll hear from ANEW later, but it's just about potentially connecting with the union about what those resources are.
Yeah, I think finding the nonprofit resources out there, and we can connect you with those once you apply to the program.
Jody, attendees are asking if, once again, they can review the PowerPoints. So to answer that question to the person that asked, Jody will need to review with our presenters today afterwards to see if they want to share the PowerPoints. But if Ryan, if you could put the email for the direct link to learn more of this information, or to learn how to apply, or to ask more questions in the chat, that would be helpful.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, and I know we potentially have some folks who have just come in. So if you have other questions for the electrical union, please feel free to put them in the chat. And
yeah, I got this website emailed to me from WorkSource, and I'm really interested. Is it here in Seattle, Washington?
Yeah, we're really close. We're actually down here in Renton, so right off of 405 here in Renton.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna take off my mask. Okay,
Ryan,
cool.
can I ask?
I'm really interested
sorry.
in the job opportunity. I have about 3 years experience working with rebar. I don't know if that's anything you guys do there.
Could you say it one more time? 3 years experience working with what?
With rebar work?
Oh, rebar. Not us too much. The laborers that just presented, they work quite a bit with rebar, and iron workers as well. We as electricians pretty much just get in their way when it comes to rebar. That's if you talk to any of them.
Okay. Well, I've worked with different companies. I mean, I know how to use a hammer. I know how to use a lot of different things. I mean, and if you guys are willing to do classes or training as well, I'm interested in anything that's available.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I didn't mean to discourage you at all. The skills that you have, right? The ability to show up to work every day, right? The ability to work outdoors. And if you're bending rebar, you're doing harder work than any electrician, to be honest with you, right? So those basic skills mean a lot to us. We know that you're somebody that our contractors can depend on. Those are really important things to us. So no, with you come to us and you say, I've got previous construction experience, it doesn't have to be electrically related. That's an important thing to understand. It's your ability to show up to work every day, right?
Yeah.
Put in your 8 hours, have a positive attitude, be somebody that people want to work around. Those skills that you already have are really crucial. So I encourage anybody with construction experience to apply to our program for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really interested in this opportunity, and I'm willing to learn anything. So I appreciate that you guys do this.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. No, I look forward to seeing you here.
Okay, cool. So do you think I can get your guys' email, or do you guys have an address that I can, maybe we can set up an appointment or something?
Yeah. So our offices are actually closed, but the whole process happens online right now for the most part.
Okay.
So yeah, if you can see the screen right now, I think it's still up there. It says apply at
Okay,
PS. Yeah. So if you've already checked out our website, you're halfway there.
Okay, cool, man.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll write that information down and hopefully I can get back to you guys soon.
Absolutely. Yeah, it'll walk you through. Just go through the website, follow the steps, you'll be good to go.
All right, thanks, guys.
Patrick, did you have a question? Sorry.
Ryan, I think that we're going to hear this over and over again. There seems to be a relationship between contractors and the unions. And I wonder, just for people who don't know anything about it at all, would you be able to describe that relationship?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, if you think about it, right, the contractors are the ones who bid the projects. Yeah, if you want to think about that process, right, they bid the projects, they take the risk, they supply the materials and the tools, and the union's the other side of it, where they bring in the labor, right, the workers, if you want to think about that. So the two of us, without, one can't survive without the other. Contractors need the labor, we need the jobs, right? So it's a real symbiotic relationship, and we're lucky here in the Northwest. Almost all of our unions and construction labor construction organizations, I should say, have a really good working relationship. But those two entities, what they do is they come together, and those are actually my bosses. So they tell me how to run this apprenticeship. They meet with them. I'll meet with them on Tuesday, and they're my directors. They tell me which way to go.
Thank you for that. Ryan, we had another question from the chat. If someone has been working on their electrical apprenticeship in a different part of the country and potentially wanted to relocate to the Seattle area, would this union help match them with a contractor in this area?
Yeah, they would. What they'd want to do is a couple of different things. You want to get your time or your hours recognized by the state of Washington. So if they worked in, we had a lot of applicants from Texas, so I'll pick on Texas. So let's say this individual has come from Texas and they worked, say, 2 or 3 years in Texas. So they maybe have got 2,000 or 3,000 hours of experience. They can take those hours and actually have them recognized by the state of Washington. And once you get that done, then there's some really good ways to get into an apprenticeship program with previous experience. But that first step is going to the state of Washington, getting those hours recognized, get yourself a trainee card here in Washington State. And we can help you with that too if you reach out to us. You got my email there. If you have any questions about how to get your hours recognized or apply to our program. But you'd want to come here. If you aren't at the journey level, then you want to go to apprenticeship. So if you haven't turned out, as we say in the field, right, you haven't completed and gone to the journey level, then you're going to want to come to the apprenticeship school and apply here. If you go to the union hall, right, the union hall is the dispatch, and that's where the journey level workers go. Apprenticeship is where the apprentices go.
Thank you for that. I saw we had another question come into the chat.
So in order to be a journeyman, you don't have to test?
Yeah, you will. Once you get your hours, right? So in the state of Washington, depending on what program you're interested in, 8,000 hours, 4,800 hours, or 4,000 hours. Once you get those hours, then you need to sit for your test.
Okay. It's the same thing in Texas. I'm in Texas, but I'm originally from Seattle, so I'm planning on relocating. And I'm should be taking my journey test within like 6 months. So.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, there you go. I mean, if you can stick it out down there and then get your journey license right there, and then get that journey license moved up to the state of Washington, then from there, yeah, just go straight to the union hall. And if you need help with that, shoot me an email.
Over, I came to Washington. That's what I was thinking.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you.
I said I thought I would have to start all the way back over if I relocated, but you said if I get the journey card, I can just get it transferred over.
Right. You know, there's certain things you may have to take the test again in Washington State. I don't know how a Texas license, the reciprocity agreement between Texas and Washington right now, but look into all those things. But I mean, worst case scenario, you would just have to take the state test. You wouldn't have to start all over again.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks.
Ryan, we had another question come into the chat. Someone has asked, can they start any of the training program before they turn 18? Is there any part of the program, is there any part of the apprenticeship or that safety program at night they can do before they turn 18?
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't offer anything like that yet. There's definitely talk about it. There are around the country, there's some work heading in that direction where apprenticeship programs are partnering with high schools, and they're getting some of that work done actually in their senior or junior year of high school. I don't have anything here locally to point you at. A lot of, some of the high schools around do have programs, pre-construction and programs. They would be specific to where you live. For us, we had skill centers when I grew up in Snohomish County. We had Snohomish Skill Center, and there you could go and learn a lot of these skills in high school. It kind of give you a leg up when you come to apprenticeship and turn 18. But I don't have anything specific to point you at, unfortunately.
All right, any other questions for the electrical union for Ryan?
There was one more thing that I think we should underscore again. It sounds like you're paying for some of this training, but you're getting paid for a lot of the work you're doing along the way. So there's money coming in while you're paying out to get your journeymanship, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You're starting at $25 an hour plus a great benefit package, and then it just goes up from there. No, hold on. Let me look at the list here. Yeah, if you think about it, after 2.5 years, you're at $35 an hour, and at 3 years, you hit $40 an hour. And so, the tuition gets to seem like a lesser burden, but those first couple of years are really tough. I understand that. And journey level is, I think I said already, so I think it's 56.
Wow. In Texas, they're topping you off at like $24 if you don't got your card, if you don't got your license.
Yeah, it pays good in Seattle, but so are living costs are pretty high as well. So it's, kind of works itself out.
Yeah, indeed.
So those quarters at South Seattle at the community college, do you work as an apprentice during the day and go to college in the evening, or how does that work?
Oh, yeah, great question. Again, unfortunately, it kind of depends. So, yeah, we've got a lot going on here. Let me back up to that slide right there. I think this will help. So if you think about the fact that we got the 3 programs here, each one of them's a little bit different. Well, at least one of them is. So the Inside Wire program is actually day school, and they come to school 1 day a week for 12 weeks for a quarter. And then they have a quarter off, and then they come back for the next quarter. And they basically do that day school cycle for 5 years, or they'll come here to the training center for 10 quarters and complete that. The limited energy and residential, they work during the day, and then they come to school at night, 2 nights a week. And it kind of depends. It's either 3 quarters a year or 2 quarters a year, depending on where you're at in those programs.
And then if we could go back to the application page, that $75 application fee, is there support for that so it doesn't prevent anyone from being able to apply?
There is, if you go through a pre-apprenticeship program, I can waive that for you. And I know there are also resources out there. But for us internally, we waive it for any recognized pre-apprenticeship program. And there are several of them out there. And I noticed when with the presentation by the laborers just before me, that was mentioned as and really encouraged. And I'd say the same thing. Pre-apprenticeship is a great way to get a flavor for each trade. What is it like to be an electrician? What is it like to be a laborer, a plumber, a tin knocker? What's it like to work in those trades? And you might connect with one better than another.
And I see we had another question come in. If we apply and get what is needed, so the prerequisites, To be an apprentice, will there be a place to live if we were to move out? Oh, so potentially move to Seattle? I'm assuming, I'm not sure. Do you support with any living expenses?
We don't, unfortunately. No, there's not here. There are some apprenticeships with dorms around the country, but unfortunately we don't have that here.
Okay, Jody's saying there may be some housing programs out there. So we could potentially assist with linking someone to a resource. I have another question here, Ryan. If you have a juvenile felony, are you still eligible to apply?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Other questions for Ryan with the Electrical Union? So we're seeing that it's a slightly different apprenticeship process, a different school process, but have the same steps. I don't know if David is still here from the Laborers Union, but
Yes, ma'am, I'm still here.
oh, wonderful. I was wondering if you could share, do you need the driver's license to apply for the Laborers Union as well?
Yes, there must be a valid driver's license.
Okay, so that was in place for both. Okay. All right. Anyone have any other questions for laborers or the Electrical Union? So what we're seeing is that there's a process to get through for apprenticeship, and then we're seeing the wages as you go through, and then the expenses, right? What it costs to go through the school or to take part, the membership fees, and then there's the job. Now, I wanted to ask you, David, the Electrical Union talked about sending folks to the contractors when they're on their apprenticeship. Do you do that as well?
Actually, for the apprenticeship, the hall is the one that sends them, dispatches them out to work.
Okay,
We only deal with the training side of things.
got it. Okay. Well, thank you both for your time today. We really appreciate you coming and sharing your knowledge on these different apprenticeship programs. So for everyone on the Zoom, please make sure that you write down their email or the phone number that was provided so that if you have more questions, you can contact them directly. All